Back with more news. Totally hasn't been 5 minutes since I recorded the last video and just changed the shirt, so this doesn't look like it's all produced in the same night.
I don't have a theme song, so this is a placeholder.
Alright guys, so this question comes from a bunch of you, and two that actually stood out that I got the screen cap were asking about specific Sony characters that could be appearing in Marvel movies and how that would work out. So, let's get to that. Now, regarding this, I think this is one of the best aspects of the entire, Sony sharing Spider-Man with Marvel and vice versa. Now, what I mean by that is they really get to lay out the foundation in this. I mean, what if we actually get to, Civil War and they can work something in there like, hey, maybe Norman Osborn is just coming up and he has his own weapons division and all that. We can really start laying out Norman Osborn and, getting that character set up for this universe. And I think that would be one of the really great things to try to expand that so we don't get the Green Goblin right away, because to me personally, I think Green Goblin has been rushed in both the series. I mean, in Spider-Man, he was the first villain. In The Amazing Spider-Man, nothing in the first movie, thrown together in the second movie, 4 minutes of screen time, and it really did nothing. Dan DeHaan, don't get me wrong, great actor, but he just didn't really do much for that, so it was kind of disappointing to see him. I would love it if they took Norman Osborn, one of these great masterminds, really big bad guys of the entire Marvel Universe, especially Spider-Man, and really layered out that character. Like, you get to see him and how scummy he is, how as a businessman he evolves to be worse and worse and worse, and how maybe Tony Stark somehow, betrays him with something, and you get to see his character slowly descend to becoming the Green Goblin, and then maybe gets locked away. And down the road, you actually make it to the Dark Avengers, where once Tony Stark leaves, Captain America is shot, and Bucky Barnes takes over, and maybe Hawkeye is put out. He brings in Bullseye to be the fake Hawkeye. He brings in, War Machine to be this fake Iron Man, and Captain America is now being played by this evil Captain America, Bucky Barnes. You could really do most of this. You could do the Thunderbolts, you now have Venom, and it's such a great proposal you could do after Infinity War with these characters. Now, on the same side of that, you can of course expand on this universe. Now, like I made a video before talking about Venom, which I'll put somewhere around here, I don't know, somewhere. It's probably not going to be behind my back. I don't know why I'm pointing there. The symbiote could, of course, be built up in Guardians of the Galaxy. The Collector could say something about having this planet of symbiotes he found, and it blew up, but a piece of it maybe flew off, and that's setting up the symbiote landing in New York and giving him that. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities here, and of course they have Kingpin now, so Kingpin could be tied into Spider-Man. That bigger street level. Or what if we get to Civil War and, Tony Stark has these guys that he's working with, and one is Norman Osborn, the other one is Otto Octavius. He's working on some sort of thing. And that's the type of thing I really want to see. I don't want these characters just tossed in there to be like, Gotham winks and nods, being like, oh god, that guy's doing riddles. He's a real riddler. We get it. He's the fucking Riddler. Thanks, Gotham. We don't want that, okay? We just want simple lines like, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, really did it well when he's interrogated Sitwell and he says, Stephen Strange is on the list. They didn't shove it in your face. They didn't try to hammer that that's Doctor Strange. It was a passaway lie. It felt natural, and I want more of that to build up to that. I don't want suddenly we get to Civil War and, oh look, hey, there's Venom comment, and oh look, there's a rhino running across the street. That's not cool. That doesn't make any sense. Like, you have to balance this whole thing. And I think that's the thing I'm most excited for. Now, the same side of that, in the Sony movies, what could we see? Well, what if, let's just say, one of the things that's going on is that Peter Parker's, of course, a smart science kid, and Kirk Connors recommends him to 2 different schools to study at. He has Stark Tower, and he has Oscorp, and he picks Oscorp, and that's where he gets bitten by the spider. I mean, how cool with that? Then you could always have that thought is, what if I went to, Stark Tower? What could have happened? What could have I learned? Maybe I didn't become Spider-Man. And that could, of course, play with his own guilt about Uncle Ben and everything. What if he just chose the other path? And I think that's such a great aspect, and he can always, of course, look up to Iron Man, being this smart guy, wealthy, billionaire, but he doesn't want to be like him because he doesn't want the spotlight. Peter Parker is first and foremost, he's a family guy. He wants to keep to himself. He's a kid still. And I think that's a really great aspect of the character that they really have to hammer in. And of course, then you can do Carnage if we ever get to that. Of course, it would have to be scaled back, but that would make sense. And there's of course minor characters too. Who's to say we don't get to the Defenders on Netflix, and maybe the Black Cat shows up, a more street level criminal, or finally maybe we can get Spider-Woman, because I know her rights were always kind of like iffy. It's like, oh, does someone own Jessica but they don't own Spider-Woman, but they own the woman part, but they don't. It's just confusion. Now they could come to some sort of agreement. We could get an actual Spider-Woman. How cool is that, right? I think this deal really, to me, shows you what Hollywood will do to get quality to the fans that are demanding it. I mean, we screamed aloud for Sony to do this, and they did it. It's that clear. So, never say that your voice doesn't matter, because clearly it does. The fans had a lot to do with this pushing their hand. So I think that is important. That is, of course, just some of the ideas I have, guys, on how to integrate these characters. So if you have anything else or any other questions you want to ask me, don't forget to ask them down below. Until next time, I'll see you guys on Ask Armin Some Bull.
So thank you for watching the video, and if you guys like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, check out some of these other great videos we have on the channel. Just click the annotation right there, it'll take you to them. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a good one.